What up, y'all? What up? What up? Robin Lundberg show back and in full effect. Of course, I don't know why I say it like that. I feel like I'm doing like an 80s rap or something. Back in full effect as we rack. You know that. You call me collect, something like that. Anyhow, uh, what up? Got the Polar Seltzer here. Lots of events from the weekend I want to get into with you guys, of course, which includes Caitlin Clark. You may have heard of her. She's kind of good. It's wild when you really think about it, the impact that Caitlin Clark has, just pure difference when she takes the floor, the feeling you get when she's on the floor. The feeling you get when she is, you know, when she is doing what she does best, which is some of those, those deep bombs. She's shooting on shots 30 to 34 feet. She's at like 50% on the year on those shots. And she's this player who captures your imagination, right? I mean, she makes you make incomprehensible noises when she's out there. That's the best way I can describe it. That's what I told Ryan Rucco when we were in the airport together. It's just like that, like, whoa, like you can't help it. That level of excitement she brings to the game is different than anybody else. And it's not even just the logo bombs, it's the passing and all that. And I'm in the midst of the game. I'm watching the game, and I think I tweeted out or I posted during that she's the GOAT. Let's be real. And that is a statement of not achievement, of course, right? Like, because Caitlin Clark still has a lot more that she needs to achieve to actually be the greatest of all time. But when you watch her play, you cannot tell me with a straight face there's ever been anyone capable of doing what she's doing, or there's ever been anyone better. Like, that's the part. Like, you just can't tell me with a straight face that's the case. Or you've ever watched anybody that captures your imagination like that and the level of excitement like that. And I know the Liberty were down a couple starters. A lot of people brought that up in the comments of the last video I did. Down a couple starters in that game. And that was, it's significant when Jonquel Jones is out. She might be their best player. And she can body the Fever up inside. She can hit the outside shot. A lot that Jonquel Jones brings to the table, of course. So her being out is a huge deal. Obviously, so is the absence of Leonie Fibic in any game that the Liberty play. Leonie Fibic is one of my favorite players in the entire league. So there are players out for the Liberty. I get that. Also, Bonner was out for the Fever, but not that makes, it makes a difference, but it's not the same. I'm not equating those things. But one thing aside from Caitlin Clark back being in the lineup was also Sophie Cunningham back in the lineup. There's a piece linked in the description from Indiana Fever on SI where Sophie is in a lineup, a 5-person lineup that is lighting up the league, and in its short minutes, very small sample size, but the possible death lineup that the Fever could unleash on the rest of the WNBA. That is a lineup that can spread the floor, can get out and run, can shoot the 3 ball. Because Sophie has to play small ball 4 in that alignment. But nonetheless, it's one hell of a possible unit for the Fever to roll out there. And I think Sophie was a plus 31 in the game. And that particular group of 5 has a net rating of like 97 plus 97 per 100 possessions. So that is something. That is something. And then there's just, Caitlin is the fast break points that the Fever got in that game were as many as they got in all the games she was out. There's a reason the league itself has been boosted by what, has happened here. That one player has changed the entire mood, feeling, and everything else around a league. Because she's, it is Michael Jordan, or as Jay-Z said on the blueprint, Michael, Magic, and Bird all rolled in one. I mean, that's really what we've seen from Caitlin Clark. And it's just different. The energy is different. The feeling is different. The performance is different. Every aspect of it is different. And the way you feel about the Fever is different. This now feels like a dangerous team. Feels like a dangerous team, a championship contending team. One of the coolest things was that moment between Clark and Breanna Stewart too, where it's the thumbnail of this video. Where Caitlin hits that shot and then it goes like, ooh, and Stewie couldn't help but join in on the fun and sort of laugh about it too. See right there. That's that sums it all up right there, right? Like that's everything in a photo. The Caitlin Clark effect in a photo right there, in an image. Picture tells 1,000 words. There you go. There you go. Couple other things I want to get to before I get to the comments. Of course, member chats and super chats get read first, as always. We also had Angel Reese with the triple double. That is kudos to her. Angel's assists were the thing that put it over the top in that game. She was playmaking some, and I think ideally that's her best role, is like a small ball kind of center, whatever you want to call it, however you want to dub it, but a playmaking forward, small ball kind of center player. That Angel is a gifted passer. Like, she's a great rebounder and she's a gifted passer. So you put those things together, and that's where she's at her best. She's not much of a scorer, but they're starting to try to develop her into a player who can bring the ball up the floor and play make. And we've seen that from Angel at times, result in turnovers and not work out so well. But when it's at its best, you saw that on display. And it's where her ceiling is at the highest. Because she's never going to be a scorer per se, but she can be a hell of an impact player if she makes plays in that way. And that's what you saw as she collected that triple-double. Funny enough, joining Caitlin Clark as the only 2 players to do so this season. So they're always going to be linked in a certain way, in a certain fashion. And there it was through the stats. So congratulations to Angel on getting that done. That was pretty cool. A good moment for her. And then finally, there was one other thing before I get into the comment section, and that was the Brittney Griner deal. I really didn't address this much, didn't publish anything on it either, where Brittney Griner was asked about the lip reading deal by Outkick, who kind of created the whole controversy in the first place and then was on this quest to have her address it. But here's what she said about it. The speculation from them was that she had said like something white girl, trash white girl or something.
You said you didn't remember what you said. during that viral moment after you fouled out against the Indiana Fever. A lot of people believe what you said was effing white girl or effing white girls. Is it possible that's what you said?
No, would never say that. Like, there's no place for that in our league. Wouldn't say that.
So even though you can't remember, you know that that was not what you
I know
said.
it wasn't that because I wouldn't use that type of language.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I saw a lot of people online, upset that she was asked that. And I get it, right? Like, I get that. I wish it was never a thing in the first place, and I ignored it because I didn't think it was a thing in the first place. If you remember some of the shows I did where people brought it up in the comment section, I was like, she didn't say that clearly because I watched the game. And the context of that was around, the foul of Natasha Howard. It was a play where she fouled out fouling Natasha Howard. And I thought clearly said something about the call. I wasn't going to sit there and Zapruder film her lips for the exactly what was said there, but whatever. I didn't think it was white girl because it didn't make any sense. First of all, like, it just didn't make any sense in the context of anything. And then it spread and out kick, especially, I think it was them in this instance. I'm not trying to even call them out per se. It's just like, it was them trying to make it into a story. I forget what it was too that was right before that, because I think there was a racial element or aspect to things right before that. And maybe this was like the counter. I don't know. But it felt like a trying to make something out of nothing. So I didn't like that it became a thing in the first place. I thought it was kind of bad faith that it became a thing in the first place. But once it was a thing, I'm glad she was asked about it. I am glad she was asked about it because then we get her on the record saying how she feels and hopefully deading it. So I understand why people don't want her asked about it because it never should have been a thing in the first place. But once it was a thing, I am glad she was asked about it to put it to bed. Because and it's full circle because it's the same outlet that did both, right? So I understand the mixed feelings on that. I do. Member chats, super chats, go first. Make sure you get those in. Of course, as always, of course, we're talking about Caitlin Clark and what she has done for the Indiana Fever, for the WNBA as a whole so far this year. But, I mean, it's a big-time shot in the arm. It really is. It is a big-time shot in the arm. Kevin Zwicker says we can now breathe easy. The league is saved now that CC is 100%. It certainly does feel that way. Certainly does feel that way. I don't even say like I don't even say it in a negative. Like, I'm not trying to diss anything else in the league. It's just the difference that she makes. The difference that she makes. It's unlike anything I've ever seen before. Unlike everything I've ever seen before. What any other news and notes? Oh, you can also check out Rosalina's power rankings in the description below, as well as the piece from Lou Orlando on the Fever lineups. I know a lot of people are talking about this viewership thing. I can't believe. I mean, first Lynn Dunn got tricked. I don't know if you guys saw that. Lynn Dunn, who was the Fever general manager, got tricked by the of meme, essentially, which was saying that it's from a fake Indiana Fever parody account that said the game the other day was the most watched ever. But then the Indy Star actually wrote an article on it, which has since been deleted. But I mean, media literacy and all that. Lynn Dunn, no disrespect to her, she's an older woman. I'm not really gonna fault her too much. Perhaps it's one of the reasons there's been a shift in the leadership in the Fever. But for the Indy Star to publish that without looking into it at all is wild. That is wild. And a sign of the times, really. Sign of the times. Got a new member in Segmag Solutions. Thank you. Appreciate that. Member chats, super chats go first. Let me look for the member chats as they exist here in the stream. Unaided Foot 3531. Both teams showed great example of WNBA talent on primetime. Hope the ratings are ridiculous. Also, Sabrina smashed big numbers. True that. Sabrina had a quieter game than a quieter big game than I realized. Brett Atwood, how can you not love that photo of Cece and Stewie with Coach clapping in the background? Definitely was something. Definitely was something. I mean, it's nice to see that appreciation. Unaided Foot says the league is terrible for growth and PR trading. The drama, though, is hilarious. I mean, I've never seen a league with more drama, that's for sure. That's for sure. It's like just different than anything I've ever seen in any other sport. Especially when you have something as good as what Caitlin Clark has been for it to be. And it's funny. Anytime I talk to I don't want to say any of you guys are not normal people. Obviously you are. But anytime I talk to a casual person about, and let me read this new member chat since they just signed up. What do you think the impact of Caitlin missing games and the loss of ratings across the league on the upcoming league contract negotiations? I mean, they did get the media rights deal. So that is obviously big deal. And that's already baked in. But there is a downside to it, right? Like there is a downside to it being so dependent on one player. That's not sustainable forever. And it would be, if I were the owners, leverage against the players. I would certainly use that as leverage against the players. Cyber AG says, Cypher, I just want to point this out. So what was the viewership for the Fever versus Liberty on the 14th? When you Google it, it still says 21 million viewers. That's because the AI gets fooled by the fake stuff that was published by the Indy Star and was put on the parody account. The AI doesn't know the difference because they're throwing up the AI at the top. You guys can't just trust those AI summaries either. You can't trust things that are put on Facebook graphics and quotes, the AI summaries or any of that stuff. Like, sometimes it just takes a beat to look into it a little deeper. For sure. Tony Aiken says it doesn't need to be saved because it lasted 26 years prior to her arrival. Tony, you're always in my comments like crapping on me, right? And I'm glad you're here and whatever, but you also realize that, and I say this in a non-judgmental fashion, I have done my best to, obviously, I'm here through Caitlin Clark and the impact that she's brought to the league. And the Fever and Caitlin Clark get covered more than anything else. But I've covered a lot of things. I've tried to be as positive as I can and highlight positive stories and all that. The WNBA lasted because it was subsidized by the NBA. It has not made money. It has not been a successful business. That doesn't mean it didn't deserve to be. These are separate thoughts. That doesn't mean the players weren't excellent beforehand, but they have not been a successful business. And the reason it lasted that long is because of the being subsidized by the NBA. So we also have to be real. And by the way, when you see like 20 something million viewers, you got to be discerning. Just to circle it back to that, you got to be discerning to realize like that's bigger than the South Carolina Iowa national championship game. That would be the most watched basketball game this century easily. It would be more than 2 times the numbers the NBA finals have drawn. It would be, what was the Sky Fever game? 2.5 million viewers, 10 times basically what that drew. Like, you got to use your brain for a second. Daniel R. Johnson says making Outkick seem like the bad guy is pretty disgusting, Rob. What is disgusting about it? Whether or not that, look, I quote tweeted Clay Travis when he put the original thing out saying it wasn't about that. Clearly it wasn't about that. It was a foul that was called on in a play with Natasha Howard that had nothing to do with Caitlin Clark. You know, I point out on both sides of this the nonsense, right? Like there's nonsense all around wherever you look. And it goes for the people who try to hate and bring down Caitlin Clark and ignore her impact or make it like her popularity is about anything else other than her being a badass basketball player. That's what her popularity is about. At the same time, you get people going the other way, lashing out at the lesbians, the black lesbians who hate anything that, you know, white or whatever. Like, and it was clearly a made-up story. I'm glad she addressed it. I have no problem with them wanting that quote on the record, by the way. And I'm not even making sweeping judgments about anybody, but it was a self-created controversy that they then got addressed. It was their story from beginning to end. Now, having her clarify it, cool. I just don't think it needed to be created in the first place. Brett Atwood, the Fever Pacers are a private company. I'm sure they did make it. The W lost $40 million last year. Well, look, the W also hasn't seen the numbers come in from the media rights deal either. That's going to make a big difference. That's going to make a big difference. You know, that money is not hit yet. It hasn't come in yet. And so all that stuff you saw from last year hasn't really hit. Engagement fooling with the AI. Remember, super chats go first, as I said. You know, the like and subscribe buttons are also available. Make sure you hit those. I mean, it was tough without Clark. Let's not be. Do we all agree the season needs to be more fun than last year? Look, Saturday felt like a new. Caitlin even said so from before. It felt like a new start to the season. It felt like a new start to the season. Douglas Meyer, you missed the point about Griner. The WNBA made a big deal about the allegations about the Fever, but said nothing about a possible situation with Griner. Well, I mean, it's like 2 wrongs don't make a right, right? The Griner thing was clearly made up, and so was the thing against the Fever. Did I not criticize the investigation? I didn't even care if they had an investigation. My problem was the statement about the investigation. But I spoke out about that. Passionately spoke out about that. So I thought that was BS. I was in the building for that. And I thought it was BS because clearly it was a good environment there. Now, I can't hear and see everything like Caitlin said, so I was willing to wait to see if there was actually something of substance, but clearly they opened an investigation into nonsense. And it started the season off on a bad foot. and it put a bad label again on Caitlin Clark and Fever fans that is undeserved, needs to be dropped, and people need to shut up about. Right? Like, so I say that specifically. Just like I say the other thing, just because that happens doesn't mean you have to latch on to a lip reading thing with Brittney Griner. Everybody thinks they can read lips so magnificently. I watched the game live. I saw the foul. I saw her go to the bench. I saw her say it. Clearly, she was saying something about the foul. Clearly. So for everybody to think it was something else, congratulations. But regardless, to your comment, and thank you for the chat, what I'm saying is, why does one have to be made into a big deal based on what the other was or wasn't? Neither should have been a big deal. And we don't need to like chase false equivalencies. Bobby Yu says, does anyone still think Fee or Asia is better than Caitlin Clark? Not only does she do more on the court than anyone else, she can turn one of the worst teams in the league into one of the best. I don't think anybody's better than Caitlin Clark. No, I don't. I love Napheesa Collier's game. I think Napheesa Collier is better than A'ja Wilson, to be honest with you. But Asia's been dominant. A'ja as a playmaker leaves a little bit lacking to me. But regardless, the entire reason, and again, that doesn't mean any other players aren't great. Doesn't mean I don't appreciate any other players. But what spurred my excitement was watching Caitlin Clark play and going, I ain't never seen nothing like that before. Segmag Solutions, it drives me crazy how poorly the WNBA is run. They're still investigating the Las Vegas Aces for $100K player sponsorships without a resolution one way or the other. Thoughts? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that, to be honest. And yes, there are a lot of things that the WNBA does that makes me scratch my head. There are. But hopefully they grow out a lot of that. They grow out of a lot of it, and a lot of that gets addressed and fixed. Joshua Williams, why aren't CC stats on ESPN or the W website? They're not? Let me look. I see her stats on ESPN. So let me look on the WNBA. Yeah, they're there. I don't know what you mean. Why aren't they there? I see them on both places. So I'm not sure what you mean. That's like saying prime Luka is better than prime Bron. Robin clearly knows nothing about basketball. I was becoming a fan. What does that mean? I don't even know what you're talking about. But no, LeBron's the best basketball player I've ever seen in the NBA. I mean, the three best basketball players I've ever seen in the NBA are LeBron, Michael Jordan, and Steph Curry. But I'm sorry, I've never seen a player in the WNBA better than that. I watch and go, that player is better than Caitlin Clark is. Unaided Foot says here, what is Ari going to play now that she aced her WNBA interview with the biggest team? We'll see. Look, Slime, Fee has an argument for the best. She's having an MVP season. She is awesome. I take nothing away from Napheesa Collier. I love Napheesa Collier. I love the way she moves without the ball. I love the way that she can score from various levels on the floor. I love her versatility defensively. She's obviously a more proven defensive player than um Caitlyn. But at the same time, I she's just different, man. It's like that unexplainable thing. Caitlyn is just different, and her range is different. Her passing ability is different. I'm not trying to fight with anybody or even say anything like to stir up engagement. I just never seen a player better than Caitlyn with my eyes. And you're looking at the stats too as she starts to compile them. I mean, Caitlin's second in the league in scoring, first in assists, top 20 in rebounding, 11th in blocks. I mean, it's like what Rebecca Lobo said. It's not just me. I've been around this league since 1997. I've never seen that in a WNBA game. There's no one else who's ever been capable of that, of what she did the other day. It's just, where's the other stat I was looking at? I have one piece in the works. I gotta wrap up here shortly so I can get some of my other stuff done. Just wanted to make sure I addressed the happenings from over the weekend. There was some stat, but I can't find it right now. Sorry. Oh, let me share my Father's Day stuff with you guys real quick. Any other member chats, super chats, make sure you get them in the next couple of minutes here. So I have 3 kids, right? Raj, Ronnie, and Rohan. And the first Father's Day gift I got was a text from my oldest son, Raj, who just said Happy Father's Day. So that's what he got me, a text. My youngest son got me this, made this at school. A little bit more personal than the text. Big row with the little card. And then Ronnie, the sweetest of the group, she made this. It says, I'm funny, sweet, and generous, adventurous and kind, trustworthy and strong, heartwarming and handsome, extremely nice and a respectable person. Then over here, what does it say? I'm funny and he's kind, even though mom yells at you, I still love you. Love when my dad chases me around the house and mommy gets mad at us. Taking your ice cream. She says I'm famous. 3 fun facts about me. He's famous, he's funny, and he grew up in a house full of cats. So those were my 3 Father's Day gifts. I mean, Iron Balls McGinty says it right. CC is the chosen one. That just is what it is. Everybody else needs to get out. This is a fair comment from Patrick Glanville. CC's box office fee is more consistent. I'm sorry. I love fee, but Native Foot says nice. See Matthew's Muses in the chat. Did you send one in? I'm going to make sure I get all the member chats. Brett Atwood says Fee might be a slightly better player than CC, but I feel CC is 3 times more fun to watch. I mean, it's not even just how fun to watch she is. You see her impact too. I mean, through every statistic, especially offensively. Look, I understand there's another side of the ball, but Caitlyn's also 11th in the league in blocks this year. I think she's 15th in the league in defensive rating. Like, Caitlyn ain't a slouch on defense. Albert Jimenez, one of the best defensive wings in the league, is Leonie Fibic. The Fever did not score a single point when she was on the court for just 6 minutes. LOL. Oh, I love Leonie Fibic. She's one of my favorite players in the league as well. I agree. Terrific player. Underrated. Underrated. All right, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Got a couple more minutes before I got to roll out of here, guys. Got a lot of stuff I got to take care of. Lots happening today. It's not in the world of like the WNBA and news and stuff, but a lot of behind the scenes stuff I got to deal with. So I want to make sure I get to that. Brett Atwood says, let's go Pacers. Sorry, guys. I'm getting the member chats up, super chats up, because it's got to be some benefit to being a member. Coach White tells the team to just hit singles. Caitlin swings for the fence more than anyone in the league, both shooting and passing. Well, Stephanie White made a comment about that in the post game too, where she said, basically that, she talked to Caitlin about one of those plays, and then Caitlin managed the game much better from that point on. TXZ06 says, just came online. Did I miss talking about the Commissioner Cup? Am I seeing correct? Fever beat Sun and Liberty beat Atlanta. Fever win East. Yes, that is correct. There's an article on that on Indiana Fever on SI as well. But that is indeed correct. But if the Dream beat the Liberty, then they win because they have the tiebreaker over the Fever from the head-to-head game. But if the Liberty beat the Dream and the Fever beat the Sun, then yes, the Fever would win the East in the Commissioner's Cup. That's the way it works. All right, y'all. I do got to go. Another 90 seconds. Get your member chats, super chats in, likes and subscribes, all that in. I'll get to as many as I can in the next couple of minutes. But like I said, I do got to go. So wanted to make sure I got a show in, covered all the bases here today. But really, the big base is how based Caitlin Clark is. Oh, man. That was a pretty good line, I got to admit. Am I impressed with Paige so far? Stats-wise, she had a better start than Clark through 8 games. Well, she saw, yes, I am impressed with Paige. She's not as dynamic as Caitlin either. She doesn't get to the free throw line. She's not, quite the same level player, but she's on that next tier, and she's certainly going to have a hell of a career. Caitlin is Neo. She's Luke Skywalker. She's any of those other chosen ones. Like whatever mythology character you want to use, that's Caitlin Clark. And anyone can be upset about it. They can try to make it about other things. They can try to muddy the waters, all that stuff. But the truth will set you free. And I speak the truth as much as it's possible to do, and in an objective thing, like a subjective thing like this. But I think all of the returns, everything we see shows you. It shows you. And it goes back to college too. It was at Iowa. All of these things, like Caitlin, she's the one. She's the one. And anybody still struggling with that is going to be struggling for a long, long time. Because that is going to be, a pill that has to be swallowed. Paige has not looked better on paper either. Caitlin's stats are better than Paige's in college. Now, Paige has a couple good efficiency stats, but she's not Caitlin. It's okay. She's still great. She's a great player. But ain't none of these girls Caitlin. Everybody's got to accept it. All right, y'all. That'll do it for me. Please like, subscribe. Check out the links in the description. I'll catch you on the next one. Yeet.